Hey everybody, welcome back to Grain Free Homestead. I'm Stephanie, and today's video is a pickup from the last video that we did, or the video before last, where I told you guys to run and go get your turkeys because they were 55 and 49 cents a pound at Meijer and Kroger. So I ended the video with me getting the turkeys in the roaster, and I'll show you here where I got them done. And so now we're on to the canning part. So what I'm gonna do with the turkeys is we're gonna chop them up and can them up so that we have some canned chicken on the shelf ready to go. It's not taking up freezer space, you know, or it's just ready to go. It's easy, ready to eat. And we don't really have a lot of meat we don't have any meat canned right now. We just have some beef bone broth and chicken bone broth. So we really need this on the shelf. So I've already taken everything. It's in a bowl. I pulled everything off the turkeys already. So I mix dark meat and white meat. We like both. And I'm just gonna get to chunking these up, and I'll kind of show you. You can do whatever size works for you. I'm just making it to where it'll fit in the jar really well. And then I will do some quart size and I will do some pint size. If I'm making a soup or a dinner of some sort, I will definitely need a quart size to feed us. But a pint size would be more suitable for if I'm making chicken salad or something along those lines. We are going to be using the chicken stock, like the broth left over from the turkeys. I am going to be using that to can this turkey with, but if you didn't have that for some reason, you could just use hot water, and I would probably be sure and salt. Put a half a teaspoon or a teaspoon of salt in each jar. The canning process, when you're pressure canning, can be intimidating, and I just wanted to encourage you guys to, try it. If you have a mentor or someone that can help you the first time, that helps a whole heck of a lot. But pressure canning, once you get it under your belt and once you just do it once or twice, you really do get a whole lot more comfortable doing it. I was gifted this pressure canner from my aunt, and I love it. And once I used it once or twice, I'm very comfortable with it. And I did just like anyone else. I read my book, that came with a pressure canner, and then I looked up YouTube videos just to get myself comfortable until I felt comfortable enough to do it. And the first thing I ever canned was green beans, and I've been doing green beans and other things for a while, and now it's just, second nature. So I just want to show you this process. It really is as simple as it looks in this video. Okay, so I've got all of the turkey chunked up in here. And so the next step is to get everything into our jars. So make sure your jars are clean and have been sanitized. So we're just gonna kind of shove it down into the jar here. And I will put a half a teaspoon of salt. You can use water. I saved the, like the broth, the drippings and stuff from the turkey. So I need to heat that up, but I'm gonna pour that in here. I'm just gonna warm it up because some of it's kind of congealed a little bit, but I'm gonna get that nice and thin again, and then we'll put them in the jars. Now when you raw pack, so this has already been cooked. If you were to raw pack, you don't even have to add any type of broth or liquid. The liquid from the meat will fill the jar up. But because this is already cooked and the juices have come out of it, you will need to either add water or broth to it. So that's what we're gonna do today. Now you want to kind of smash it down in there a little bit, but you do want to leave about at least an inch headspace, maybe just a tiny bit more. So I've got all our turkey in our jars, and now we're going to add salt. That is completely optional. I'm doing a half a teaspoon for quarts and a quarter teaspoon for the pints. Now we're ready to add our turkey broth to the jars. I warmed it up on the stove just enough to thin it up. It's not hot or anything. So we're going to fill the jars up to within an inch to inch and a half from the very top of the jar. And that just so happens to be around the neckline where that rim is, around the jar. Once you get your jars full of your liquid or broth, you want to use a chopstick or a utensil to jiggle around in each jar, and it gets all the air bubbles out of your jars. The next thing that you want to do is use a white vinegar or vinegar of some sort, and I use a paper towel, but you could easily use a clean wash rag. You wipe the rims really well because the stock and the turkey itself is kind of greasy, and you do not want to have anything left on the rim of the jar that could compromise the seal of when you're sealing your jars between the lid and the jar. So you just want to wipe this off really good, and once you do that, you're ready to lid your jars. All right, we're moving along here. I've got our liquid in our jar up to about the rim. We're just gonna lid everything, and you wanna lid it finger tight, so you don't want it super tight, but finger tight. And then we're gonna get these in the pressure canner. Here is my pressure canner. And so in mine, it takes about 2.5 quarts to get it to the water level, 2.5 to 3 quarts that I need. And you wanna make sure that you have your rack in the bottom. Here I am oiling the rim of my canner. I have an all-American canner, so it doesn't use a seal like a Presto type canner. So you do have to kind of oil the rim a little bit. It is in the directions, but that's what I'm doing in case you're wondering what the heck I'm doing there. So our jars are in the canner, and I have mine is an all-American. I do use a gauge. It doesn't have a weighted gauge. This was gifted to me, so I use what I have. And I love this canner. So it has the knobs on it, and you have to make sure that you screw them on properly. Make sure you follow all the directions. You want the lid to be evenly attached at the top. And I'm gonna flip this around and show you all the way an all-American and most pressure canners work. Okay, so you guys can see the gauge here, and this is our vent, so we want the vent open so this stays up. And so the steam will actually come out of these little slots here, and you're gonna do the same thing with this as you would any other pressure cooker. You're gonna let it come up to heat, and it will steam, so it'll start to steam, like a good flow of steam will come out for 10 minutes. Then once that has vented for 10 minutes, then you're gonna close this down. And this is, like you've seen in other pressure canners, this is where you would put the weight, the jiggle weight, you would put that on here, and that's what causes the pressure to start building in your canner. So this is the same equivalent to that. However, I just have to watch the pressure. So for us, we're gonna do 11 pounds of pressure. It depends on your elevation, so you'll need to look up your elevation, but it's typically 10 pounds per pressure for 90 minutes, and I'm doing 11 pounds per pressure for 90 minutes in the canner. So we're gonna get the heat turned on, and I'll show you all what the steam looks like and the end process. So I wanted to show you all as it heats up. It starts to steam, and I think that you can see the steam there. See it right here coming out? And you want it to come out, it doesn't show as good on camera. There's actually more steam than you can see. But you want it to do this for 10 minutes before you flip that down. And then at that point, the pressure in your dial will start building. And I control mine with the heat of the stove. So that is the difference between a weighted jiggler. The weight controls the pressure, to whereas I have to use the heat to control the pressure. All right, so you'll see these guys when they're done. So as soon as I get to my 10 minutes on my steam here, I'm gonna flip this down and the pressure will start building. Okay guys, so our time is up. We waited an hour and a half or so to let the pressure come down naturally. I've got the canned turkey out. I'm gonna show you guys what it looks like. And here we go. I ended up with 6 quarts and 1 pint. I have another pint, it's in the fridge. I couldn't fit it in the canner, so when I've got some bone broth going here from the bones from the turkey, and I had saved some carrot peels, onion peels, and like celery ends in the freezer, so I'll put those in there with it, and I'm making some turkey or chicken stock out of it. And when I can the stock up, I'll put the extra pint that I have of this, I'll put it in the canner and do it all then. But if you look really closely, in case you've never done this before, these have actually been sitting out for about an hour or more, and they're still bubbling. Can you see them bubbling there still? And that is completely, perfectly normal. So the very last thing I have to do is I've got my wash rag and vinegar. I'm gonna wipe the jars down because they're always a little bit, see my finger? They're always a little bit greasy. So I will wipe these guys down, let them sit overnight. I'll remove the rings and we'll put them down in the pantry. Here real quick, I wanted to show you the process of making the bone broth. I used most of the bones. I did use the necks, the turkey necks. And here in this baggie, I have some just scrap onions and celery and carrot peels that I've been saving in the freezer just for bone broth. So I'm breaking that all up now. It just adds a good flavor to the broth. I'm gonna fill the pot up next, the roaster up, with water as high as I can get it, because the more liquid, the more broth that I'll end up getting. I'm also going to add several tablespoons of salt. I'm just going to guess 3 to 4 tablespoons of salt here. That is completely up to your discretion. This is a lot of broth, so 3 to 4 tablespoons isn't too much. And last but not least is I'm going to add 1 to 2 tablespoons of vinegar, and what that does is the acid helps to draw all the nutrients and minerals out of the bones into the bone broth. So after I get my vinegar in there, I'm going to put the lid on, and we're going to let this roast in this roaster at like 250, 275 for up to 48 hours, and then I'm going to can this up as well in my pressure canner. There you have it. That's the whole process of canning some chicken, turkey, any kind of meat. It's the same process, and it's late. It's been several hours since I started. The kids have been in and out, so I haven't been able to finish this. But yeah, there they are. They're going to be looking great in the pantry. And I just wanted to hop on and say thanks for joining us for this video. I hope you guys have a great holiday, Thanksgiving week next week. And if you enjoyed this video, please give us a like, a share, or a subscribe. We really do appreciate it. It helps us out a whole lot. So you guys have a wonderful week, and we'll see you on the next video. God bless.